Well, hello, one and all. Welcome back to another episode of Live Better, brought to you by the folks at Wave.video. And I'll tell you what a week it has been for me. You might have noticed my scruffy and rough appearance. Well, last week I had a little bit of it. I told you it's because we were going to go and do some fundraising as beggars from the Victorian era at a little event known as Dickens on the Strand. And, well, I just still haven't shaved. Why? I just haven't, I've never let the whole thing grow like this. I probably shouldn't anyway because it's not very full. It's incredibly unattractive, but it's what you're getting today. Hello, Leo, over there joining us from across the pond in the wonderful world of England. Glad to have you. I'll tell you what, though, I had a great time at that event. I'm a huge fan of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, and I got to meet his great-great-great-grandson, Oliver Dickens, who was there performing and reading his great-great-great-grandfather's book, A Christmas Carol. He's a trained performer, and it was outstanding. But you didn't come here to hear my travel log or my little life moments. No, you came here to join me and to learn together how to live better. And that's exactly what we're going to do today in this episode, along with sharing a couple little interesting announcements of up and coming, well, I'm just going to leave it there. We've got some really cool stuff coming. Welcome, Facebook user. I think I know who that Facebook user might be, but make sure that you go in and authorize the app so that it will show your name so we can share your comments here in the show. Julia, thanks for joining us as well. She's a big fan of the show and always here. So without further ado, though, I am going to be bringing in our guest today, Tim Sohn, who is going to be sharing with us the power of sharing personal stories to help make your live stream go to the next level. So, with that in mind, let's bring him in. Tim!
Is this
brother.
Hello,
Yes.
Chad.
No, is there a delay? You're still dancing from the delay, I assume.
There is a delay, yes.
You just have music in your
I'm just having that much fun.
Well, if there's anything I know about Tim Sohn, folks, it's that he always has fun. I don't know that I may know people who are as positive, but I don't know anyone who's more positive than Tim, no matter what life throws at you. So, man, I'm excited to have you here. This is the first time that it's just been you and me. I've been on your show with Jim Fuse, and you were on my old show with my co-host, Daniel. So, at last, we're alone.
Yes, we are alone, and who knows what will happen while we are alone, Chad.
That's right. What happens on Live Better doesn't stay on Live Better. It stays on the internet forever and ever. So
forever. Yes.
This comment here, OMG, Tim, I believe is from our good friend Nancy. And if someone can put my producers or someone can put the link on or instructions on how to approve and authorize the app so that her comments show.
Yes. Do you know which Nancy you're thinking of?
The one and the only Nancy. Elevator Nancy.
Oh, Elevator Nancy. Yes.
Oh, no, it's Veronica.
That clarifies everything.
I was wrong.
Hey, Veronica.
It's Veronica.
Wow, thanks for being here. And shout out to your boat and my hubby, Roy.
So, and if you don't know that her boat is only about an hour from where I live.
Wow.
I know, right? It's crazy stuff. But hey, people are not tuning in here today to hear you and me catch up on stuff. We're here to talk about live streaming, and you've been live streaming for how long have you been doing the whole live stream thing now?
Probably somewhere around 4 years ish, give or take.
ish, give or take. That works for us.
Yeah, we've been doing the Tim and Jim show for 3 years in August. It was our 3-year anniversary. And I was live streaming before that, probably for at least a year. So probably at least 4.
Wow, that's incredible. What was it about the whole live streaming live streaming thing that made you realize, hey, this is a powerful marketing tool that's going to help me build community, and I need to jump on it?
Well, at first, it was that the Facebook gods were saying that that algorithm, we are telling you do live video and people will see your videos and all the magical things will happen. And then I was telling my clients to do this, but I was not doing this. And then I thought I must do live video, so my clients will do live video. And yeah, and then the Tim and Jim show happened starting more than 3 years ago, and then we built a magical community of people together who are all interested in growing their small businesses, and they all show up to support each other and connect with each other every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. And that's kind of how it all started. The Facebook gods, and then I wasn't doing it, and then I was, and then just all kind of continued, and here we are.
Now, the Tim and Jim show, that's more of a marketing type deal. But you recently decided to do something that kind of took your live streaming experience to a next level by starting a show that incorporates your personal story and journey, and also allows others to share theirs. Real quick, why don't you share your story, and if you'd like to share current updates about your story, and then we'll dive into why this whole story thing works.
Yeah, absolutely. So 15 years ago, this year I'm celebrating 15 years of living with chronic leukemia. So basically, the story is I had never had any major medical issues before, but I was in my 20s and I went to my primary care physician, and because I had some purple blotches or bruises on my legs, and I was like, what's going on with that? And so they took some blood tests, and as I was leaving the parking lot, they called me on my cell phone and said, you need to go to the hospital right now. Now, I don't remember exactly what happened in that conversation, if they said it was leukemia at that point, but I was in the hospital about a week. And in that time period, I was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia. So I've been very lucky that I've felt overall very well over the 15 years. I haven't been very sick. I do take oral daily chemo medication and I'll have to for the rest of my life, which can be very expensive if you don't have good insurance. So that's kind of in a nutshell the story. And then in June, for the first time, I shared my story on a live show, on Jenny Gold's live show, Podcast Not Podcast, of living with chronic leukemia. And the reason I did that was really for 3 reasons. One was Jenny invited me on her show, and I didn't know what else I was going to talk about on her show. Number 2 was that I had started creating Radiating Real posts. Nancy Barrows created the Radiating Real movement, which is about showing up as your beautiful, authentic self in the moment. You don't have to be all polished and shiny. Basically, share more personal content about yourself to connect with other people on the human level. And then Steve Sullivan, who's on LinkedIn, 35-year acute leukemia survivor, had created a video on National Cancer Survivor Day, which told his story, and that really inspired me. So between the 3 things happening in the 1 week in June, I just felt that all these things were happening in the same week, and it was time for me to share my story.
And so, where does your story stand now?
So my story, where it stands now, is just the other day. Well, let me back up a little bit. My leukemia numbers have been going up the last few times that I've had. They do what's called a gene test, which basically measures the number of leukemia cells you have in your body. And so the numbers had been going up. Like the last 4 tests I had, were going up. So recently I did a LinkedIn post saying I was just like overwhelmed, and I was just feeling like the numbers were going to be up again when I was going to be going to an appointment recently, and so many people showed up and showed love and support and prayers and care and all those amazing things. And thank you to all of those people. But I got the results of my test the other day, and I am 0% leukemia cells, which is the first time since 2019 since that has happened.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. And and congrats and praise and thankfulness and all the things for that. So um, that's just outstanding, and so glad to hear that. The show that you're doing now, where you started sharing this story and other people are sharing their stories, um, is a lot more about stories. Um,
Yes.
why do you feel, and what have you observed that's convinced you that sharing personal stories actually helps build the community more than just sharing information?
Because on first, before we're business people, before we're salesy weirdos or anything else, we're humans, and we all have things that connect us. And one of the things that connect us is so many of us have a connection to cancer, whether we're a survivor, whether we're a supporter in some way, whether we're a family member who, has a family member who has passed or has a survivor in their family or some kind of connection. And we've been doing this show. We just did our fifth episode last night, and the show is called Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. And it's all about bringing together cancer survivors and supporters and just bringing people together to share their stories, their perspectives and connections on cancer, and to show up. It's all the name says it all, Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. So it's all about showing up, supporting each other, and sharing oftentimes very vulnerable and sometimes not easy to share stories. But one of the things about the show that and this kind of goes back to that idea of like personal content and on the human to human level, is we really feel all the emotions during the show. It's serious at times, we laugh at times, we smile at times. It's all the emotions during the hour of the show. We
That's
need puffs at times. We sometimes need puffs.
and that's okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think sometimes we feel like everything has to be like
Yes.
this entertainment, and when we think entertainment, for some reason we think smiles and laughter, where a lot of
Right.
things that we watch, that we binge or that we get into, take us on journeys. We have fear, we get scared, we feel anxious, we cry. So entertainment takes you on an emotional journey. And so if you want to add, and I hate to say an entertainment value to your live stream, nothing really does it like the sharing of personal story. One of the things too I love about your show is that you encourage others to share their stories. So it's not just about you. I heard a preacher
Yeah.
once talked about had just gotten to the United States and he wanted to try Chick-fil-A. That was like his big thing. He wanted to try Chick-fil-A. And so he caught a taxi to go to this Chick-fil-A. And while he was with the cab driver, he decided he felt prompted to ask the guy his story. And he welled up with tears, and as he said, nobody's ever asked me that as long as I've been in the United States. Found out he'd had like a PhD in mathematics from wherever he was from, but the degree wasn't valid or looked at here as valid. So he was starting over, and driving a taxi cab was the only thing he could get so that he could try to get back to school and do things to take care of his family. And they became buddies. They ended up, having lunch together there when they got to the destination.
That's
And
awesome.
I like the phrase that he said, that when not only when you share your stories, but even more so when you allow other people to share theirs, it opens up a portal of belonging. And I thought that was a really,
Yes.
really neat phrase. And so, as you've shared your stories and you've allowed others to share yours on your show, do you feel like your relationships with other people have grown stronger and closer in your community?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. People, and there's people that have come back. I mean, we've done 5 episodes so far, and there's some people that have come back every week for the 5 episodes. And there are people that comment every week, and we appreciate people whether they comment or not, but people have been sharing in the comments, their stories, or when I shared my story, or Kara Ulker, my amazing co-host and producer of the show, um, when she told her story, or our other guests that we've had on the show, people just show up and shed love on the people as they're sharing their story, and also sharing their perspectives in the comments, which is just so powerful. And we're just so honored that people feel safe, that they trust us to do that in that space that we created, because that's why we
Right.
created it.
And some stories, maybe it's a little easier to do, some of the emotional components better than others. It's not always easy, as it might seem, to, tell your story in a way that it touches people's hearts. Do you have any tips or recommendations for others on how to, like, really turn your experience into a catchy story?
How to turn your experience into a catchy story? That is a great question. Yeah. I mean, try to include as much, like as many details, or as much like emotion, um, so people can get an idea, like in their mind, what they're going through, like what you were going through in that moment, that kind of thing. Um,
So kind
I
of
would
painting a
say
picture
things like that.
kind of
Yes, painting a
kind of
picture, kind
helps.
of
Yeah.
like the Delaware River behind me.
Which is beautiful, by the way. Absolutely beautiful. Folks, by the
Thank
way,
you.
one of the powerful things about story is it sucks you in to the point where you forget that there's other things you're supposed to do, like remind everyone to subscribe, like our page, click the little notification bell so you know the next time we're going to go live. Also, you can go to wave.video. You can sign up there, and we'll email you. And not only tips and tricks to make your live stream and your videos better, but when we will go live again. So once again, don't forget to go in there and click all the things, right? Subscribe, like, follow, bells, and whatever else there is to
Whistles.
click. Just click it all. Click it all. That's what we want you to do. Also, those of you who are here with us, make sure that you're commenting, engaging. If you have questions for Tim, ask them. Let us know what they are. At the end of the show, or later on in the show, we're going to be giving away 3 prizes. 2 winners, of course, will get a copy of the much coveted new Wave Video live stream stickers, which, yes, they include my face, my yellow face there.
Yes, I
Do with it
received
what you
them.
will.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm guessing you put it like on a bathroom stall somewhere, so all the world can
Of
stare at me.
course, because what else would I rather look at than a sticker of Chad while I'm going to the bathroom?
Exactly. And to your willingness to share that with the world has probably been appreciated by many.
Just
But
radiating
2
real
winners,
here. Keeping it
2
real.
winners are going to get a set of stickers, and then our grand prize winner today gets a special gift from Tim himself. He's going to give away a 30-minute consult with him to help you either get your live show started, or maybe review one if you already have it, and give you tips and ideas on how to make it better, because that's one of the things you do with your clients, right, Tim?
I do, yeah. I do one-on-one coaching to help clients create their own live show from scratch, or improve it some way.
Love
Absolutely.
it.
To make it more impactful.
What are some ways Julia has stickers on her journal? So there you go. There you go.
I love
I don't know if
that.
that's better
Shout
than a
out to
bathroom stall or
stickers.
not. And I believe it's still Veronica, the anonymous Facebook user here, says, I think he's an amazing producer. And I'm pretty sure she's referring
Thank you.
to you. And you are. You've done lots of different things. Listen, when somebody's trying to come up with, sometimes I hear it all the time, right? I don't have stories. I'm boring or whatever. What are some ways someone can recognize or maybe pull a story out that they didn't realize was worth sharing?
I think one great way to do that is just think about like what you go through in a day. Like one thing that I do almost every day is I go to Dunkin' Donuts. And, well, actually, Donuts isn't in the name anymore, just Dunkin'. And so I meet all sorts of people there. It's changed a lot since the pandemic, but I still see people there, right? And I hear conversations. And, a lot of people like coffee or tea or hot chocolate, right? So when we're talking about like on the human to human level, that's something that connects us as humans is, what we like to drink, and also conversations that we're having when we're out and about, so that's kind of like one idea is, when you're out, right? Maybe you're out, maybe you're going to meet a client, maybe you're just going to get a cup of coffee. Pay attention to what's going on during your day, and I'm sure you'll find something during your day that you can share that will relate to other people. Right,
Oh,
chat?
that's a great point. I think what happens, I think we all start thinking, well, I don't have stories, but it's just because it's to you, it's just regular everyday life. And so, like you said, if people start to recognize them, they can start to understand, oh, I do have something unique or special about me that makes me stand out in a certain way. I always tell people, at the end of the day, think back on the day and just jot a couple of notes down of something that happened. With you, with the Duncan thing. I know that that's like part of your story. That's part of who you are, the whole Duncan thing. But I would, and I don't know that we really have a whole lot of time today to go into that specifically, but at some point, I would love to hear the story behind how Duncan became a part of who you are, And so that's the story behind the story, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's another way is um, it's the asking why, kind of going backwards. Um,
And I've never told that story before. That's a great idea.
I was gonna say if you had, I haven't heard it before. Um, Now, let's take like for example, like now right now you've got the leukemia thing, right? That's your story. That's a
Yeah.
story that's being shared. At some point, um, within the circles of influence that we kind of have, our stories we can kind of saturate the market a little bit. So how do you take a story that you feel like okay, everybody's kind of heard it? How do you take it to a next level to give it a little bit more newness or freshness?
I mean, you could share it on different shows besides your own. Um, you could share different perspectives or different time periods of your journey. Um, I mean, it it
I think
it is the same story. Yeah.
right. I like what you said about
Uh,
perspectives, though, a different time period, right? Diving into
right.
more detail, specific moments. I like that. For
Exactly.
an example, I would love to hear a more detailed story of the moment you found out about the leukemia, right?
Yes. Would you
I,
like to hear that now?
let's do that. Here's an example, right? So we just heard this broad story, and so now here's
Yeah.
a way of taking this story and adding to it and drilling it down. So yeah, tell us the story about what it was like, what was going on when you first found out.
Well, I was in the hospital. Like I had said, I was at the doctor's office. I ended up at the hospital, which is 2 hours away. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. I don't remember exactly when I found out, but I was in the hospital. And I didn't know, the only thing I knew about leukemia before was I knew that when I was in elementary school, I knew there was a kid in my class that had passed away from leukemia. But that was the only thing I really knew about leukemia. I mean, there had been my uncle, he had passed from Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Mm.
And we had other people in my family that had passed from different forms of cancer, but not leukemia. But when I did find out that I had it, it was just it was just the unknown. Will it shorten my life at all? Um, will will I will I get married? Will I have children? What will happen in the future? Just so many things, not knowing, anything really about leukemia, or not much, only as much as I had learned while I was in the hospital,
Did it
Um,
change your perspective on the value of a day?
yeah, for sure. Um, I mean, it's kind of like I said before, like I've never been really sick from either from my cancer or from the medication, the chemotherapy medication that I take. So I don't want to say that I take it for granted, because I do take that medication every day and it's a daily reminder, right?
Right.
And now I am at 0% leukemia cells, but I still have to take that oral chemotherapy to keep it hopefully there. It could go up again at some point. Um, but it definitely at the time, yes. And I will say though that just kind of my mindset in terms of having cancer, in terms of having leukemia, I do try to kind of deflect, because it doesn't affect my day-to-day activities. And I try not to think about what could happen,
Hmm.
because that's not fun.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I get that. And I know that took us a little off topic. That's just, obviously what I do for a living is try to pull stories and things out of people. So I start getting
You're doing a
I
fabulous
start seeing
job.
I start hearing all these questions, and I'm like, okay, I need to ask this. I need to ask. Wait, nope. Today's show is about how personal stories help improve your live stream and build community. I can't just go all in on Tim's story, because there's just so many things I'd love to just, and maybe we'll
Yeah,
have to just do that one day on our own, or on the side, or and we can even go live or whatever. But because I'd love to do that with you, because there's so many things I think that are in there probably that you still haven't shared, because
I'm
sometimes it's
sure.
hard to really pull them out on your own. Um, the next question that we had, I think we've kind of answered, and it's kind of like, how do you find the right audience? How do you reach people who are interested in your story? I think for you, it was starting a show that was centered around um, that particular story. So I think we kind of answered that, but
I
an interest. Go ahead.
could I just add something?
Yes, absolutely.
For me, LinkedIn, well, I spend the most time on LinkedIn anyway in general in terms of
Right.
social media. And I had put, after I started sharing my story, I had put leukemia survivor in the title of my LinkedIn profile. And survivors started reaching out to me on LinkedIn. And I started reaching out to survivors. I would just do searches in LinkedIn for posts or for people, leukemia survivor, leukemia, cancer survivor, things like that. Um, so that's one way that I've built a community,
Mm,
um, of people that, some of the people that are survivors or that are involved some way, they might be some kind of medical professional, or they may have made a bone marrow donation or something like that. I've intentionally connected with those kind of people and had conversations with those people. Um, and also when creating the live streams, intentionally using hashtags that are on LinkedIn specifically, related to cancer, like cancer
right.
or cancer survivor or cancer warrior or um, cancer care, cancer supporter. There's so many different ones. So you intentionally using different hashtags is also another
Right.
way to attract the right audience.
Oh, those are brilliant, brilliant tips. Great ideas. Because people are searching for things, and then of course the algorithm suggests and recommends things based on that. So that's brilliant. Well, we have a question here. It's from Nina. She says, "Tim, please tell us what kind of content plan can be prepared for a show based on your personal story. What can be discussed with guests? What activities can be carried out with the audience?" And I'll leave that up there
That's a
because if you're
really
like
good
me, I had to
question.
read it a couple times. So What kind of
Yeah.
content plan can
No.
be prepared for a show based on your story?
So I'll tell you what we do with Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer is we have a pre-show interview with our guests the week leading up to the show, because we want to know what our guests want to share and also what our guests do not want to share, especially because cancer is such a sensitive subject. So having that conversation, and depending on your time, right? You might not have time to have that pre-show interview, but if you can, and if it's a subject that warrants it, I would encourage you to have those conversations, because by having that conversation ahead of time, you can ask questions of the guest, do some research, and then ask them questions in that pre-show interview. Then you'll find out things that you most likely wouldn't have known if you just showed up live with them and went off questions that off the bat, kind of thing.
No,
Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. And I think as far as activity that can be carried out with the audience, obviously there's the ability on a live stream for the audience to dig in, to ask questions. There's ways with tools out there now where you can invite somebody to come in on the show if they wanted to. Maybe they had a story themselves that's relevant, and they could share that. Have you brought somebody in before during a live stream and like, hey, let's bring them on? They have a good story.
I'll tell you the story, and this was totally not planned, and we did not plan to have people just come live on the show unexpectedly. But in our third episode, Kara had just shared her story, and I got a message from Peter Clark. And Peter Clark is a live streamer, and he always has such heart-centered guests. And he had sent me a direct message during the show saying, hey, can I come live on your show basically now? And I said, hey, Kara, are you cool with that? Because she was in the middle of sharing her story. We were kind of wrapping up, and she said, sure. So we brought Peter on screen, and Peter said that his spouse's dad was recently diagnosed with cancer. She was in Trinidad. He had just got off the phone with his spouse. He couldn't be in Trinidad because of COVID restrictions. She could be, he could not be. And I think he just needed somebody to talk to. He just got off the phone, and he saw the notification that we were live. He had known about the show because of some messages we exchanged earlier. And so he just showed up, and we just had a conversation about what was going on with, his spouse and her dad. And that was super powerful. And that's why we created the show, is just to create that safe space where people can show up and have those conversations.
Wow. That's so cool. Moments like that are just those unplanned moments, and then when they involve a story and a moment where you can share with somebody who gets it, that's that portal of belonging that I mentioned earlier. I love that phrase. I love that phrase, portal of belonging. Hey, let's change the look a little bit. I got a few more questions. Julia says, heck yes, I love this. I know she loves,
Hey,
she's all
Julia.
about the human.
It's great to see you.
Component of things. She just likes people.
Shout out to humans.
Hey, listen.
Oh,
I know. Oh, wait. What is that behind you, Tim? Be careful.
What is that behind me?
It looks like a bear. Why would I put a bear behind Tim? Tim, why would I put a bear behind you?
I'm kind of scared. I don't know. Perhaps there's a bear or a turkey roaming about here.
Could it be that you have stories about bears and experiences seeing bears?
Yes. Do you want to hear a story about a bear?
I would love to hear a story about a bear.
Yeah, so this was a few years ago. This is how
you take something where you know something about a guest and that there's probably something.
Yes.
I added the background on purpose because I figured there had to be something, because I've seen pictures. So let's hear the story about the bear.
Yeah, so this was a number of years ago, and I had woken up in the morning, and I looked outside, and the door of the car was open. As far as I knew, we did not leave the car door open. So I went outside, I looked in the car, seemed like nothing was taken from the car, but it was open. So I called the police. We no longer have a police department in our tiny, tiny town here in the woods with the bears and the turkeys. So we call the police that are now defunct, and we say, the car door is open. We don't think we left it open. They said, are there any scratches on the dashboard? So we go out, we look. There are scratches on the dashboard. They said, there was a bear in your car. Lock your door.
Wow, I never even would have thought they could open doors. That's crazy.
How's that for a story?
I love it. I love it. Anita Wong is here. She says hello to both of us.
Anita.
Glad to have you. So listen, while we're in this little circle bubble view, just a reminder to everyone, everything that we do here on the show is created using wave.video. It's an incredible tool that allows you to make and edit custom videos and format them for all the different social media profiles, create landing pages, emails, you name it. It's incredible. And we go live with wave.video every week, and that's why we also, of course, we encourage everyone to remember to subscribe, to like, to click all the bells, all the notifications, so that you can find out when we're going to go live. But even more so, we've got a special announcement that, well, I don't even know if it's an announcement. I think some news has started to leak out a little bit about Wave Video's new live streaming tool. That's
what did you say, Chad?
That's right. It's Wave Video's new live streaming tool that's now in beta that is going to allow you to do things. I'm not even going to go into all the things that it can do, but I will tell you this. It will blow your mind. Literally blow your mind. All of the different things that are going to be a part of this tool and the way it will integrate with your wave.video account to allow you to have access to all of your different videos and things that you've created. We are going to be doing a special edition of Live Better combined with Wave Video's Feature Friday, and that is going to be this Friday, December 10th, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We won't be able to show you everything because look, guys, it's mind-blowing. We were going through kind of a rehearsal of the show today, and I said, my mind was, I don't think my mind's ever been blown twice. But over and over as we're going through all the different features and the things that you're going to be able to do. And Max says, yeah, that sounds amazing. There aren't even the right words. That sounds amazing is a good way to put it, but it's even more than that. It's going to be so good. So you're going to want to be here Friday. Tim, I might be able to give you a couple little things after the show. Maybe you can get some behind the scenes, privileged information.
I can't wait.
But I'm telling you, man,
on the edge of my seat here.
It's. If you think I'm like a kid in a candy store, like Christmas morning, I'm like, I can't. Usually, I'm great with words, and I can find the words. Right now, I can't even find the words. I'm so stoked about this. But hey, let's get back to what we're here for, though, and that's to learn together how to live better.
Bears, right? Bears.
With Tim Sohn, with Bears. What is it? Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. Is that something like that, right?
and Screaming Goats. You have Screaming Goats too.
Wow, I like that. I think I have a drum roll. There you go.
I like that.
Unfortunately, I should have done that before I did the overlay with the announcement. Horrible. Horrible producer. Terrible job, Chad. Terrible job.
Wonderful producer. Amazing.
A couple other questions. I would be surprised if it's happened. Actually, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised in today's world. But when you're telling stories, you're sharing stories. And I don't know that it's happened with the leukemia thing. It's possible because there's a lot of really horrible people sometimes, it seems like, in the world. Have you ever come across any people that have just been hateful after you've shared stories or experiences?
I don't think it hasn't happened on the cancer show, showing up perspectives on cancer.
Thank
We get
goodness.
some interesting comments from some certain guests, which we look forward to some of them, and others we don't show on screen. But no hateful, and I don't recall any specific ones in the past either.
Yeah, and
Yeah, but
interesting
that's a really
comments.
good
I do
question.
I get that. I know that I've been known to make an interesting comment or two here or there on other
Not
people's
you, Chad.
shows. but with me,
Definitely
people
not
expect
me.
it, right? People not hateful, but people expect the interesting, quirky, off the wall stuff from me. But what is your feeling on, though? Let's say it were to happen. In any situation, somebody decides, you know what, I'm going to be a little vulnerable. I'm going to open myself up to connect with people. What is your feelings on whether or not you should acknowledge it or reply to it, or how do you encourage people to handle hateful comments and whatnot on shows?
I think I'd take it on a case by case basis. I don't know if I necessarily show the comment. I might refer in general to the comment and make a point, based on the comment. But like I said, I haven't really had experience with them in the past. I've been lucky. But I think it would just kind of depend on, what the topic is, what the comment is, who the audience is, and that kind of thing.
Gotcha. I agree. I think you have to take it on a case by case situation. Some people, maybe there's something that you can help them get past some of their hate if you handle it right. And then there's some people who they're just mean, and they're just there to be mean. So it's a case by case kind of deal. I agree with that. But hey, I'll tell you what's something people don't hate, and that's free stuff. That's giveaways and fun things like that. So let's do that. Let's give something. Haha. There we go. There, we're back to the river.
Yes.
I love this comment from Max Zeibel. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he said, given all the customization we already have for video production, which is inside the Wave video tool, I totally believe that Wave will have a unique and mind-blowing approach to live content. Max, that is so correct, and then some. And Taa, Taa, I know I just blew that name. But Miss Dixon, we'll call you Miss Dixon. Thank you for the comment. She said this is an awesome live stream. And, well, what would you expect? It's Tim Sohn. And when Tim Sohn is there, it's just always going to be an awesome live stream. When Tim's around, everything is awesome. Well, no.
Chad is here
Tim.
with his amazing hat and his microphone and his amazing
no, sir. Amazing hat
and skills and talents, all the things. Everybody, give it up for Chad in the comments. Show him some love,
look, folks. If you think I have amazing hats, you are absolutely wrong. Tim, by far, has the most amazing hat. And this is a great example.
Which show are we on now?
I don't know, but I've had this sitting here and was like, I'm gonna use it at some point, and it was like, well, he just totally set me up with the hat comment. So there you go.
Yes.
Oh, that's
and Nathan
funny.
Is saying, Chad, sing us a song. So will you sing us a song, Chad?
I don't know why anyone would want to hear that at all. Just because the mic is adjusted to make my speaking voice sound better than it probably is, it doesn't necessarily mean It's gonna make me sound better if I sing, right?
Oh, I doubt it. I doubt it.
Somewhere across the sea. Anyway,
Keep going.
yeah. Well,
Yes.
there we go. Right there we go. Look at our viewer count dropping like crazy. Oh, too funny. All right, so here we go. Our winners today, second and third place winners. Yes, that's right. You are now going to be the proud owners of the incredible Wave Video stickers. That includes my face. Do with it as you please. Those go
you
to...
You can put it on your toilet stall.
That's exactly right. It's a great place for it. Gene Huback, an old friend of mine, is here, and I'd love to see that. The winners of the stickers are Anita Wong and Nina D. And when I say Nina D, I have like flashbacks to Greece, right? Was it Sandra D, right? Look at me, I'm Sandra D. Oh, sorry. I'm old, and that's where my brain went. And the winner, though, of our grand prize is Max Zeeble, or Zabel, or Zybel. All the Maxes. Congrats on that. You have a 30-minute consult with the one and only Tim Sohn, where he's going to help you either start or give you some tips and ideas on how you can improve your live stream and live better, like we attempt to learn to do here each week. And this week we're learning how to live better, of course, with the one and only Tim Sohn, who's sharing with us the power of sharing your personal story during your live stream. Tim, one last question. Is it always necessary to have a story to be successful live streaming? Like some marketers, they try to come up with some dramatic tale to, make it sound like they're just maybe bigger than they are or whatever. Or if, is it necessary? Do you have to have a story?
I think you have to show up as you. If you have a story, that's bonus, but show up as the real Chad or the real Tim. And yes, tell stories about while you're waiting in line at Dunkin' Donuts, or if you're comfortable telling your cancer story, it took me 15 years. You may not be ready yet to do that. But stories definitely do draw people in more, I would say. Do you have to do them? No, but I do think that they do lure people in more, and they do connect people.
No, I agree with that. And if you're not sure if you have a story and you need help trying to find your story, reach out to either Tim or I. Tim is a live streaming guru. The show isn't really here to promote me, but it is what I do, is I help other people discover and find and put together their own stories. So I don't want to make the show about me, but I am here, and it's what I love to do. I love to hear other people's stories. One of the other stories I'd love to sit down with you one day, Tim, and I know we don't have time today. Gene says the stories help, and I agree. Gene and I know each other from the theater. But you mentioned, awesome. It took you 15 years. And I would love to hear the story behind the hesitation, and then the decision to share, because I think that specific piece of your story would be incredible to hear. The effects it had on daily life, with wife and kids, another great component to the story.
Can I share a really quick story? Do you want to hear how my now wife found out that I had cancer?
Yes, this should be interesting. All right.
I had only been diagnosed a few months before we had started dating. And so there's hard decisions. When you're diagnosed with cancer, you don't know what to do regarding basically anything, right? Like, it's all new. So at the time we had been dating for a few months, my now wife of 11 years, Joy, we were at my apartment in New Jersey at the time, and she saw an appointment slip on the refrigerator for the oncologist. And so one morning we were talking. At the time, I was working at a journalist. I was working as a journalist at a newspaper, and she was a teacher. So our schedules were basically opposite. So we would talk at like 1 o'clock in the morning when I was done with work. And so she asked me this question at 1 o'clock in the morning on the phone, that she mentions that she saw this slip. And that's how she found out that I had cancer, is because she saw this slip and she asked me about it at 1 o'clock in the morning on the phone. And that's how that conversation happened. How's that for a story?
Holy moly. and how did she take it?
Joy is a very calm, patient. I believe her reaction was something like, okay. I don't remember beyond that, but
she was like, okay, you turkey. Right? That's what she was like. She's like,
shout out to the turkey. Yes. Just like that.
Wow, that's crazy. I love it. You know, it's funny, the stories, everybody, you know, married world, dating world has this, like, that is outside of it thinks, well, they know everything about each other. I have a cousin who they had dated for, I think it was 3 years, and they got engaged and they went to the marriage license place in the courthouse, and they're filling out their forms and putting their names, and he fills out his name, and she's like, wait a minute. What is that? It's like, well, that's my name. Well, no, your name's such and such. He had, you know, more of a nickname, even though it sounded like a real name that he went by. And 3 years, she'd never really actually known his actual real first name.
What?
I know. Is that great? My
that is hilarious.
Are both bilingual. My father-in-law is from Honduras, and they got married. And they were married before he found out she spoke Spanish. And when he said, why didn't you ever tell me? She said, you never asked.
Oh, my gosh. Right?
Anyway.
It just shows how many stories there are out there.
There's stories everywhere. Congrats to all the winners, by the way. Make sure that you message us on the various platforms, Facebook, or you can email Yulia at wave.video. I believe we've commented that information on all the different places where we're live streaming the show. Tim, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. We're you know, with the new live stream tool that's being released in beta, which, by the way, you can go to wave.video. If you click on the pricing tab, you'll see a place where you can sign up and apply to be part of the beta group. We're going to slowly be letting people in to test and try that out until it goes completely live to the public. But we're going to be showing some of the features this Friday that are just going to be incredible. So maybe Tim, we'll have to like find a day where it'll just be playing around with the new tool and trying some of the different things out. But we can dive into some of your stories and just share stories and just you know, no rhyme or reason, just chat and have fun and share the stories with other people. But thank you so much for coming here, though, and sharing all the information you had with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Chad. This has been great.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, so the best place is on LinkedIn. Just search for my name, Tim Sohn, Sohn. That's really the best way. Or you could find me on any of the other social platforms, under either Tim Sohn or Sohn, Sohn, social media solutions. Yeah, any of those places.
Or as your good friend Nancy calls you, is it Tim Sohono?
Nancy Lewis Hill calls me Timbo Sohono. Yes, so thank you for mentioning that, Chad. I appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome. And I'm sure there's another story there, right? There's always a story, and there's a story behind the story.
But unfortunately, I think we're out of time.
Oh, darn. Well, we'll just have to save that one for another time. Folks, thanks so much for joining us, tuning in. Anita says paging Tim Sohn with a laughy emoji. For those who don't know,
I'm always
whenever
paging
Tim
people.
goes live, he will page his friends, hey, come tune in, come to the show, and I'll get notifications all the time. Congrats to all the winners.
You're welcome.
Congrats to Tim on the latest results with the leukemia. We'll continue to keep you in our prayers that it stays there. Thanks for joining us, and make sure, guys, next week that you tune in and join us here, because we're going to have the one and only Kelly Mirabella, who's going to be sharing with us ways to use chatbots and automation and how you can put those into your live stream to help generate leads and grow your audience. So you won't want to miss that as we all gather together next Wednesday at the same time, 12 Eastern, to learn together how to live better.